The Monkey King, also known as Sun Wukong, is a legendary mythical figure that is best known for his role as one of the main characters in the 16th century Chinese novel Journey to the West, and many later stories and adaptations of the novel. In Mandarin Chinese, the Monkey King is referred to as Sun Wukong. In the novel Journey to the West, the main character Sun Wukong is a monkey who was born from a stone and later obtains extraordinary powers via the practice of Taoism. Following his defiance of the heavens, the Buddha puts him in solitary confinement at the foot of the mountain. After a period of 500 years, he travels with the monk Tang Zhenzang and two other pupils on a mission to retrieve Buddhist sutras from the West in India, where Buddha and his followers are believed to be residing at the time. Sun Wukong boasts several powers. He possesses incredible strength, as evidenced by the fact that he can carry the burden of 2 heaven mountains on his shoulders, while simultaneously moving with the speed of a meteor. He is capable of traveling 108,000 li, which is 54,000 kilometers or 34,000 miles in a single somersault, demonstrating his incredible speed. Sun Wukong also obtains the 72 earthly transformations, which confer upon him access to a total of 72 distinct abilities, one of which is being the capacity to morph into a wide variety of creatures and things. He is an accomplished combatant who is able to triumph over the most formidable warriors in heaven. His hair possesses magical abilities and can be used to create clones of himself, as well as turn into a variety of weapons, animals, and other objects. In addition to that, he is capable of partially manipulating the weather and holding individuals in place using this mending magic. The Monkey King is one of the most well-known and enduring characters in all of Chinese literature, and he comes from a complex and eventful period in Chinese history. The synthesis of Indian and Chinese traditions serve as a source of his creativity. There is a possibility that the Monkey King was influenced by the Hindu deity Hanuman, the monkey god, who is mentioned in the Ramayana. These legends were brought to China by Buddhists who visited there. Hanuman is the son of the god of wind, but the origin story of the Monkey King involves the wind blowing on a stone. A number of academics are of the opinion that the character was modeled after Shi Banto, who was Xuanzang's first student. It's possible that the white monkey stories from the Chinese Chu Empire, 700 to 223 BC, which held gibbons in high regard, were another source of his inspiration. During the Han period, these myths were the inspiration for a number of stories and artistic motives, which ultimately led to the creation of the Monkey King character. It is possible that he was also influenced by the local folk region of the Fuzhou province, where monkey gods had been worshipped for a very long time before the novel was written. This includes the 3 monkey saints of the Lin Shui Palace, who were previously demons but were brought under control by the goddess Chen Jingu, also known as the Empress Lin Shui. Dang Cha Da Sheng, also known as the red-faced monkey sage, Tong Tiang De Shang, also known as the black-faced monkey sage, and Shuang Shuang San Lang, also known as the white-faced monkey sage, were the 3 individuals in question. In Fuzhou, Mahayana Buddhism and Taoism are the 2 traditional mainstream religions that are practiced by the majority of the population. Historically, a significant number of people observe both religions at the same time. On the other hand, the origins of the religion of the area extended back hundreds of years. These various religions incorporated aspects from a variety of regional folk religions and cultures, such as totem worship and traditional legends, as well as gods and beliefs from those religions. Even though there are basically just 2 major religions practiced in China, distinct folk stories will vary from town to town, city to city, and province to province, due to the country's immense size. These folk stories will have their own myths about various gods. The religious status of Sun Wukong in Buddhism is frequently disputed by the Buddhist monks of Chinese and other countries, as well as by Buddhist monks outside of China. On the other hand, the general public embraces Sun Wukong, helping to spread his name throughout the world and establishing him as a cultural icon. According to the story Journey to the West, the Monkey King originates from a powerful magic stone that resides atop the mountain of flowers and fruit. The stone serves as the mountain's summit. This stone, on the other hand, is not like any other stone because it was nourished by heaven, Yang, which has a positive character, and the earth, Yin, which has a negative nature. As a result, it is capable of giving birth to live beings and thus is not like any other stone, according to Taoist philosophies. The stone will eventually grow a magical womb, which will one day explode, releasing a stone egg that is roughly the size of a ball. When the breeze touches the egg, it morphs into a stone monkey that is already able to move about on all fours and walk. There is a strong possibility that this origin is a reference to Hanuman, the Hindu monkey god, whose father was the wind god. The Jade Emperor is startled as two beams of golden light rush towards the Jade Palace in time with the movement of his gaze. As soon as he notices the light, he gives the order for two of his policemen to go look into it. They have reported seeing the stone monkey, and they say the light is fading away as the monkey consumes food and water. The Jade Emperor does not think highly of him because he is ordinary. The monkey makes the acquaintance of a number of other creatures and eventually joins a group of other wild monkeys. After they have finished playing, the monkeys will frequently wash themselves in a stream. They make a decision one day to go find out where the stream originates and climb a mountain to go to a waterfall. They have made it clear that whomever passes through the waterfall locates the source of the stream and then returns to them will take the throne of their people. The stone monkey decides to take the initiative and leap into the waterfall. He discovers a massive iron bridge that spans a rapid river and leads to a cave on the other side. He successfully persuades the other monkeys to follow his lead, and the group successfully enters their territory. After then, Sun Wukong reminds them of their earlier declaration, at which point they make him their king once again. After ascending to the throne, he christens himself the handsome Monkey King. This joy will not continue for very long. The death of one of the Monkey King's older monkeys' companions leaves him in a state of great distress. He makes the decision to sail away from his island on a raft that he has constructed himself in order to find an immortal who can educate him and show him how to defeat death. He makes his way ashore and then explores the area. When humans see him, they run away in fear because he appears to be a monkey dressed as a human. He resumes his journey on foot after picking up some of the garments that had been hung up to dry. While moving through towns with his face concealed by a hood, he witnesses several instances of depravity and vice that are associated with humans. He keeps moving further and eventually enters the jungle. When the Monkey King overhears a woodcutter sing an intriguing song, he questions the woodcutter about his origin and discovers that the woodcutter was taught the song by an immortal who lives in the forest. The Monkey King arrives at the front door of a temple in which a supernatural Taoist martial artist by the name of Pudi Zushi resides. Pudi Zushi first refuses to let the Monkey King into the temple. The Monkey King stays still for a significant amount of time at the entrance, steadfastly refusing to go inside. As a result of Pudi Zushi's admiration for his dogged determination, the Monkey King is granted entry. Pudi Zushi tells Sun Wukong that the Monkey King was destined to become his student and teaches him everything of the higher Taoist disciplines, including the way of immortality. Pudi Zushi accepts the Monkey King as his student. Pudi Zushi then gave Sun Wukong the piece of advice to never brag about his abilities unnecessarily, because doing so could lead to other people approaching him to learn from him. He advises that you should not teach them because if you do teach them, it is possible that they will go on to cause trouble, and if you do not teach them, it is possible that they will resent you for it. After that, he orders the Monkey King to never reveal who taught him, and the obedient Sun Wukong swears that he would never reveal who his master was. With that, Sun Wukong awakens back in the forest, where he had been before, and realizes that the many years of instruction had been conducted in some type of trance that compressed the passage of time. Later on, whenever Sun Wukong is asked about his abilities, he always responds in an honest manner by admitting that he acquired everything he knows about fighting and magic from his dreams. When he gets back, he finds out that a demon known as the Demon King of Confusion is abducting monkeys from the Flower Fruit Mountain in order to exploit them as slaves. He kills the demon and his henchmen in order to save the monkeys that were taken captive. He also takes the full arsenal of weapons from a country that is close by for his subjects, but he is unable to locate a weapon that is appropriate for himself. After learning that dragon kings are in possession of a great deal of treasure, he ventures to the waters in search of a weapon. There he comes across the palace of a dragon king. At the front gate, Sun Wukong makes a polite request for an introduction, but the dragon king Ao Guang has his guards send him away. Sun Wukong pushes his way in, despite the protests of the guards, and insists that the Dragon King must be mistaken to refuse entry to a fellow king. Inside, he makes his presentation, during which he encourages the Dragon King to provide him with a weapon. The Dragon King quickly saw that Sun Wukong was quite a dangerous opponent, so he pretended to be willing and hospitable, while simultaneously instructing his subordinates to bring out weapon after weapon. After testing each weapon, Sun Wukong determines that none of them are durable enough for the Monkey King, who is frustrated by the situation. After that, Sun Wukong obtains the golden band and staff known as the Rui Jingu Bang, or the Ding Hai Shen Zhen, which is a treasure of Ao Guang, the Dragon King of the Eastern Seas. The staff is known as the Balancer of the Four Seas. The Monkey King is the only creature that possesses the necessary strength to wield a weapon that resembles a staff, and there is an instant affinity between the two. The Golden Banded Staff has the ability to change its size, lengthen itself, fly, and attack opponents in response to the will of its master. It weighs 13,500 JN, which is equivalent to 7,960 kilograms. When he is not using the weapon, the Monkey King can make it as small as a sewing needle and store it in his ear. This allows him to keep it accessible at all times. In addition to stealing the magical staff, the Monkey King convinces the Dragon King to present him with royal garb as a gift instead of taking the staff. The Dragon King requests aid from the other major Dragon Kings in order to acquire this item for Sun Wukong. When they come, they present Sun Wukong with a golden chain mail shirt, a phoenix feather cap, and a cloud walking boots. One of the valuables that belonged to the Dragon Kings was a circlet made of red gold and decorated with phoenix feathers. It was called the phoenix feather cap. Typically, it is portrayed as a circlet made of metal with two striped feathers attached to the front of it. These feathers are thought to represent the distinctive plumage of the Feng Huang, also known as the Chinese phoenix. Sun Wukong expresses his gratitude to the Dragon Kings and departs in good spirits. After arriving back at the mountain, he gave a presentation on the new weapon to his monkey people, which drew the attention of other monstrous powers, several of which wanted to form an alliance with him. He established a brotherhood with the Demon King of the Bull, the Demon King of the Saurian, the Demon King of the Single-Horned Demon, the Demon King of Rock, the Lion Spirit King, the Macaque Spirit King, and the Spirit King of the Snub-Nosed Monkey. After being found guilty of blackmailing the Dragon Kings and receiving a death sentence, the Monkey King opposes Hell's attempt to retrieve his soul. He removes his name from the Book of Life and Death, which is a collection of books that is said to have the capacity to influence lifespan in addition to having the names of every living mortal and every monkey that he is familiar with. He also removes his name from the book. The Dragon Kings and the Kings of Hell provide the Jade Emperor with further information regarding him. The Heavenly Army tries everything they can think of, including eradicating him from existence entirely, but they are ultimately unsuccessful. The Jade Emperor welcomes the Monkey King to heaven in the expectation that the latter will become more controllable after giving a promotion and a rank among the gods. The Monkey King is told that he will be made protector of the horses, which is a fancy phrase the heavens devise for a stable boy. Despite the fact that this is the lowest job in heaven, the Monkey King believes that he is gaining an honorable role as one of the gods. The Monkey King releases the cloud horses from their stall when he realizes the significance of one's place in the heaven, and how he was assigned the lowest position. He then returns to his own realm and announces himself the Great Sage, Heaven's equal. The Heavens reluctantly acknowledge his self-proclaimed title after Goldstar advises the Jade Emperor not to rush into military action against the brash, rude and impudent Monkey. Goldstar warns the Jade Emperor that failing to defeat Monkey would harm the reputation of Heaven. As a result, the Heavens reluctantly recognize his self-proclaimed title. Goldstar provides the Jade Emperor with the recommendation that he should call Sun Wukong back to heaven, pamper him as a pet, and superficially satiate Sun Wukong's vanity in order to prevent Sun Wukong from causing problems on Earth. After Goldstar's laughter, the Jade Emperor acknowledges that, in actuality, the fanciful title is a worthless jest that exposes Sun Wukong's arrogance and ignorance to the significant workings of heaven. Goldstar's laughter prompts the Jade Emperor's agreement. Sun Wukong has a sneaking suspicion that he's being set up, but he is relieved when Goldstar, acting in the role of an ambassador, addresses him as the Great Sage Equal of Heaven and gives him official documents. Peach lover Sun Wukong gladly agrees to take on the role of Guardian of the Heavenly Peach Garden, after hearing from Goldstar that he has been promoted to a post that is significantly more important. Later on, when the Queen Mother Xi Wangmu orders 7 celestial maidens to pick peaches for the royal meal, Sun Wukong finds out that every significant god and goddess has been invited to the banquet, with the exception of himself. The maidens laugh and respond that everyone in heaven is aware that he is only an immortal who tends to the peach garden when he tells them that he is the Great Sage Equal of Heaven. The indignation of the Monkey King eventually transforms into open disobedience. Sun Wukong manages to sneak into the kitchen as it is being prepared for the royal banquet, so that he can sample the delicious meals and sip the royal wine. While all of the gods and goddesses are making their way to the banquet, the Monkey King strolls around heaven while in a state of inebriation. He ascends to the levels of the palace that are not guarded by the heavenly authorities, since these levels can only be reached by gods who possess the most immense and unadulterated source of spiritual strength. He is able to reach these levels. Sun Wukong, upon realizing that he is at the top of the 33 layers of the heavenly palace, steals and consumes Lao's pills of immortality and Xi Wangmu's peaches of immortality. He then flees back to his kingdom to prepare for his rebellion, taking the remaining portion of the Jade Emperor's royal wine with him. The Jade Emperor does not accept Gold Star's advice to find another peaceful way to deal with Sun Wukong and instead gives orders for his armies to mobilize in preparation for battle. The Monkey King single-handedly defeats the army of Heaven's 100,000 celestial warriors, all 28 constellations, Nisa, and all the 4 heavenly kings, all while laughing non-stop and thoroughly enjoying himself. He does this by combining his martial prowess, guile, and quick-witted creative responses to give different types of powerful heavenly weapons that are used against him. In addition, he does this by laughing continuously and fully enjoying himself. Then, Guan Yin, the Bodhisattva of Compassion, and Musa or Moksha, one of her disciples, show up. Musa is dispatched by Guan Yin to investigate the situation and engage in combat with Sun Wukong. Once Musa has been vanquished, Guan Yin will advise that the nephew of the Jade Emperor, Erlang Shen, battle Wukong. Both Wukong and Erlang finally transform into scary forms, which causes Wukong's monkey army to flee the battlefield. This shows that they are evenly matched. Both of them keep shapeshifting to turn into more powerful things than the other, until finally Laozi throws in the diamond jade ring at Wukong from behind while he is fighting, knocking him senseless and allowing Erlang to bind him up. Sun Wukong is defeated and transformed into a fish in an effort to flee. After several failed attempts at execution, Sun Wukong is placed inside Laozi's 8-way trigram crucible for the duration of 49 days in order to be distilled into an elixir by samadhi fires. This will enable Laozi to regain his pills of longevity. After several failed attempts at execution, Sun Wukong is finally put to death. The crucible's fire is intense enough to destroy beings with such unfathomable power that are on par with Buddha himself. The cauldron is opened 49 days later, and the Monkey King is found jumping out of it. He had survived by hiding in a location marked by the wind trigram, which was a place where there was less fire. In point of fact, the heat of the samadhi fires have fortified his physical framework, making him more powerful than he was ever before and rendering him immune to great damage. The heat also bestows upon him a new talent. The Monkey King is now equipped with Huing Jingjing, which enables him to distinguish between good and evil, also known as his golden gaze. After that, Sun Wukong destroys the crucible and makes his way to the most important room in heaven, where he confronts the Jade Emperor and the most senior counselors to him. The Jade Emperor and the other high officials of heaven make a request to the Buddha, who responds by traveling personally from his temple in the west. After hearing Sun Wukong argue that he would succeed Jade Emperor, the Buddha places a wager that the Monkey King will not be able to free himself from his grasp. The Monkey King takes a haughty stance and agrees to the bet. He bounds into the air and soars all the way to the end of the planet. The Monkey King is convinced that he has arrived at the end of the universe after reaching this location and discovering nothing but 5 pillars. In order to demonstrate that he is following the correct path, he urinates on a pillar and writes a statement proclaiming himself to be the great sage equal to heaven. After that, he executes a backflip and lands on Buddha's palm in order to assert his victory and win the wager. When Sun Wukong discovers that the 5 pillars he discovered are actually the fingers of the Buddha's hand, he is taken aback and finds it difficult to believe the information. When the Monkey King makes an attempt to break free of the palm, Buddha turns his hand and causes a rockfall, which sends Sun Wukong plummeting back towards the surface of the earth. On top of Sun Wukong is a mountain that was formed by the rocks. Before the Monkey King can remove it, the Buddha binds him there with a paper talisman that bears the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum in golden letters. This prevents the Monkey King from removing it. The Monkey King is kept in stocks at the base of the mountain for the next 500 years so that he can learn patience and humility. Only his head and hands are allowed to protrude from the mountain's base. When the Monkey King is hungry, the Buddha makes arrangements for 2 earth spirits to feed him iron pellets. When the Monkey King is thirsty, the Buddha makes arrangements for molten copper to be fed to him. All Buddhas have access to the power that is comparable to that of Buddha, which means that they all have the same capabilities and power as the Buddha, but only the Buddha has the ability to turn off the other Buddha's powers if they disobey. After 500 years, the Bodhisattva Guan Yin is looking for students to accompany and protect a pilgrim who is going to the west to reclaim the Buddhist sutras. After hearing this, the Monkey King makes an offer to the pilgrim, Tang Sanzang, a monk from the Tang dynasty. In exchange for his freedom, once the trip is finished, the Monkey King will serve Tang Sanzang in exchange for his freedom. Guan Yin, seeing that Sun Wukong will be difficult to subdue, presents Tang Sanzang with a present from the Buddha in the form of a magical circlet that once the Monkey King has been deceived into donning it, cannot be taken off under any circumstances. When Tang Sanzang recites a particular sutra, the band will tighten, which will result in an intolerable amount of headache pain. Guan Yin, wanting to be fair, bestows upon the Monkey King 3 unique hairs, which are only to be utilized in extreme circumstances. The Monkey King is permitted to travel to the west, so long as Tang Senzang is present to monitor his every move. Throughout the entirety of the book, the Monkey King provides Tang Senzang with a steadfast assistance to his voyage to India. They are joined by Pixie, also written as Zhu Bajie, and Sandy, also written as Sha Wujing, who both accompany the priest in order to make amends for their past transgressions. As long as people continue to believe that eating Tang Senzang's flesh is the key to achieving immortality and immense power, demonic creatures and other supernatural entities, in addition to bandits, will continue to pose a risk to Tang Senzang's safety. When Tang Senzang is in danger, the Monkey King frequently takes on the role of his bodyguard to protect him. Before they are successful in their objective and are able to make it back to China in one piece, the party must overcome a total of 81 challenges. During the course of the journey, the Monkey King acquires knowledge on the Buddhist precepts and teachings. There, the Monkey King is said to have attained Buddhahood, earning him the title of Victorious Fighting Buddha, in recognition of his selfless devotion and formidable power. We also see that the Monkey King knows about the fate of Tang Senzang and also of his knowledge in many other things. This is evidenced by the fact that he correctly predicted the monkey's plight on 3 separate occasions, that he cured a king who had been ill for many years, and that he was aware of the properties of herbs that no one else was aware of. Sun Wukong became one of the most immortal and unbeatable things in all of the creation after achieving immortality through 7 distinct paths. Together, these paths make him one of the most powerful beings in all of creation. After having some negative thoughts about the future and his own mortality, Wukong decides to seek out immortal Taoist patriarch Zushi in order to learn how to live forever. Wukong is able to acquire spells necessary to master all 5 elements, cultivate the path to immortality, and learn all 72 earthly transformations while he is there. Wukong was apprenticed to the wise man for a period of 7 years, during which time he discovered the recipe for immortality. It is important to highlight that the Supreme Court of Heaven does not endorse the use of this technique for achieving immortality. Wukong's spirit is bound and dragged into the world of darkness in the midst of the night. There he learns that his time spent in the human world has come to an end. Wukong, filled with rage, embarks on a perilous journey through the world of darkness to lodge a formal complaint with the 10 kings, who serve as the judges of the afterlife. The 10 kings make an effort to address the concerns and reassure Wukong by pointing out that many people in the globe share the same name and that the people who collect the deceased may have acquired the wrong name. Wukong wants to examine the register of life and death, after which he scribbles out his name, rendering him and all the other monkeys in his tribes invulnerable to the Fetchers of Death. Wukong also scribbles out the names of all the other monkeys in his tribe. The reason that Wukong is able to intimidate the 10 kings and demand that they remove his name from the Book of Mortals and give it to him in exchange for the Book of Mortals is because he has studied magic and the magical arts as a disciple of Zushi. This makes him even more immortal. Following the occurrence of this event, the 10 kings lodge a complaint with the Jade Emperor. Soon after the 10 kings brought their grievances to the attention of the Jade Emperor, the Court Heaven appointed Sun Wukong to the position of Keeper of the Heavenly Horses, which is essentially the same as a stable boy. This infuriates Wukong, and his rebellion marks the beginning of the havoc in heaven. Wukong is given the responsibility to becoming the guardian of the Heavenly Peach Garden, while the havoc in heaven is taking place. The garden has 3 distinct varieties of peaches, and eating any of them will add more than 3,000 years to your life. The first sort of flower blooms every 3,000 years, and those who consume it will achieve immortality while simultaneously seeing their bodies transform into ones that are both light and strong. The second kind only comes into bloom once every 6,000 years, and those who consume its fruit are granted the ability to fly and the gift of endless youth. The third kind only blossoms once every 9,000 years, but its fruit has the power to make its consumer as immortal as heaven and earth, as long-lived as the sun and the moon. Wukong does not think twice about eating the peaches while he is working as the guardian, which results in him gaining immortality as well as the skills that come with eating the peaches. If Wukong had not been given the responsibility of watching over the peaches of immortality and the Heavenly Peach Garden, he would never have had the opportunity to consume the peaches of immortality and advance his level of immortality. As a result of Wukong's mischievous behavior, the Queen Mother of the West does not believe him to be an important celestial deity, and as a result Wukong is not invited to the royal dinner that she is hosting. After learning that every other significant deity had been invited, Wukong decided to attend the banquet under the guise of one of the invited deities and arrives early in order to investigate the significance of the event. The scent of the wine immediately draws his attention away from what he's doing, and he makes the decision to steal it and drink it. If someone were to consume the heavenly wine, they would be granted the capacity to live forever. Wukong, under the influence of the heavenly wine, finds himself at Laozi's alchemy lab. There he discovers Laozi's pills of longevity, which are referred to as the immortal's greatest treasure. Wukong swallows a gourd full of the tablets since he can't help but be intrigued by them. Those who swallow the pills on their own will achieve immortality. If Wukong hadn't been so inebriated after drinking the heavenly wine, he would never have found his way into Laozi's alchemy lab and consumed the tablets of longevity. After completing Wukong's 3 chain reaction strategies for achieving immortality during his time spent in heaven, Sun Wukong makes his way back to his residence in the Mountain of Flowers and Fruit. After the Court of Heaven discovers what Wukong had been up to, an effort is made to apprehend him, and the struggle begins. The 5 levels of immortality that Wukong had attained have rendered his body essentially indestructible, which is why he has been able to evade Heaven's numerous attempts to put an end to his life. During the most famous of all the executions, Wukong was sacrificed by being thrown into Laozi's furnace in the expectation that his blood could be used to create the elixir for the tablets of immortality. Wukong is able to discern evil after enduring 49 days of the Samadhi fire in Laozi's furnace, and the process of being refined in the crucible removes even more of the impurities of mortality and leaves him with an additional immortality. After exhausting all the other options, the Court of Heaven turns for assistance to Buddha, who ultimately decides to bury Wukong alive beneath a mountain. In the book Journey to the West, Wukong's immortality and other powers are put to use for the first time after Guan Yin advises that he becomes a disciple of Tang Senzang. In the tale, he defends Senzang against evil demons who want to consume Senzang in order to gain immortality for themselves. Wukong is protected from the many methods that the demons try to use to murder him by their own immortality. These methods include fighting, beheading, disemboweling, poisoning, and boiling oil. Wukong and his traveling companions acquire a ginseng fruit, also known as the man fruit, at some point during their journey. This fruit is even more exclusive and potent than the peaches of immortality, as only 30 of them will ever grow off of a specific tree that can only be found on the Longevity Mountain. One whiff can offer 360 additional years of life, but eating one can grant an additional 47,000 years of life. In addition to all the wines and medicines that may provide immortality that the Monkey King has ingested while in heaven, upon arriving at the Buddhist temple, pilgrims were given Buddhist counterparts of similar meals. This resulted in Sun Wukong becoming even more immortal, an 8-fold immortal. And that is the story of Sun Wukong. Let's all look forward to the amazing game that's gonna come out, and all the lore that can be found within. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.